Vietnam is often remembered through a few quick symbols: a bowl of pho steaming in the morning air, a conical hat under the sun, a stream of motorbikes flowing like water through the streets, or a photograph of Ha Long Bay glowing beneath the mist. But if you only see this country as a Southeast Asian postcard, you will miss its deepest layers. Vietnam is not a place that can be understood through one image, one city, one dish, or one coastline. It is a country shaped by mountains and rivers, by ancient kingdoms and modern cities, by quiet villages and restless streets, by memory, resilience, and an everyday beauty that often appears in the smallest moments. From the cloud-brushing mountains of the north, through the heritage-rich lands of central Vietnam, to the slow branches of the Mekong Delta, Vietnam does not tell only one story. It tells many stories at the same time. Hanoi is where the journey begins, with sound. The sound of motorbikes moving through narrow streets, street vendors calling softly in the morning, spoons touching ceramic bowls, and coffee dripping slowly through a small metal filter. Here, the past does not sit still inside museums. It walks beside everyday life. In the old quarter, each street seems to carry the memory of an old craft, an old trade, or an old rhythm of living. Silver, silk, paper, medicine, food, and small family shops are woven into a maze of streets where the city feels both ancient and alive. Around Hoi An Lake, people exercise at sunrise, couples take wedding photos, elders sit beneath trees, and the legend of the sacred turtle still seems to linger above the water. Hanoi is not only the capital of Vietnam, it is also a city of layers: imperial memory, colonial architecture, wartime history, student life, sidewalk meals, and the quiet patience of people who have watched their city change again and again. To understand Hanoi, you do not only visit monuments. You sit on a small plastic stool. You drink egg coffee or iced milk coffee. You listen to the rhythm of the street. And slowly, the city begins to explain itself. Leaving Hanoi, Vietnam begins to rise in height. In the northern mountains, the landscape changes from flat streets to misty valleys, winding passes, and terraced rice fields that curve around the hills like golden fingerprints. Places such as Sapa, Mukang Chai, and Ha Giang are often admired for their beauty, but these mountains are more than scenery. They are living homelands for many ethnic communities, each with its own clothing, language, markets, festivals, and relationship with the land. In the highlands, terraced rice fields are not only beautiful landscapes, they are a way people have learned to live with the terrain, with water, and with the seasons. Every terrace is the result of patience. Every harvest carries the knowledge of generations. At a mountain market, you may see bright traditional textiles, baskets of vegetables, horses, spices, handmade tools, and people traveling from distant villages not only to buy and sell, but also to meet, talk, and keep community ties alive. Here, beauty is not separate from survival. It is part of daily life. Ha Long Bay is so famous that sometimes we feel as if we already know it before we arrive. We have seen the limestone towers in travel posters, films, postcards, and social media. But among thousands of limestone formations and calm green water, the most unforgettable thing is not a photograph. It is the feeling that geology itself is drifting past your eyes. The cliffs rise from the sea like sleeping dragons. Small boats move between shadows and reflections. Caves open inside the rock, and the water turns every moment into something quiet and unreal. Hat Long reminds visitors that nature does not need to speak loudly to feel powerful. Sometimes, silence is enough. Not far away in spirit, but different in feeling, Trang An offers another kind of wonder. In Trang An, The mountains are not distant objects to admire. They surround you, and each passage of darkness and light makes the journey feel like moving through the memory of stone. You lower your head as the boat enters a cave. The world becomes cool and dark. Then suddenly, light opens again, and another valley appears. This is why Trang feels less like sightseeing and more like crossing through time. It is a landscape where nature, spirituality, and history seem to belong to the same breath. Central Vietnam changes the mood of the journey. Here, the land becomes narrower, the sea comes closer, and history feels especially present. Hue does not impress through speed. Hue makes people slow down. The imperial city, royal tombs, old garden houses, pagodas, the perfume river, and gentle rain turn history here into something emotional, not dry or distant. This was once the seat of the Hoi dynasty, the last imperial dynasty of Vietnam. Walking through Hue, you feel that power, poetry, loss, and elegance are all mixed together. The tombs of emperors such as Minh Mang, Tu Duc, and Khai Dinh are not only burial places. They are statements about beauty, belief, personality, and how rulers wanted to be remembered. Hue is also a city of refined food. Its cuisine is delicate, colorful, and careful, shaped partly by imperial traditions and partly by the creativity of ordinary people. A small bowl of bun bo hue, a tray of tiny rice cakes, or a quiet meal near the river can tell you as much about the city as a palace wall. If Hue is the depth of imperial memory, Hoi An is the memory of a trading port. The lanterns here do not only make the old town more beautiful, they soften time itself. For centuries, Hoi An welcomed merchants from different parts of Asia and beyond. Chinese assembly halls, Japanese influences, Vietnamese houses, wooden shop fronts, narrow lanes, and riverside markets all speak of a time when goods, languages, beliefs, and ideas moved through this small town. At night, when lanterns reflect on the water, Hoi An can feel almost dreamlike, but its beauty is not only in the lanterns. It is also in the tailors, the food stalls, the old houses, the family altars, and the quiet respect for ancestors that still lives inside many Vietnamese homes. In Vietnam, ancestor worship is not simply a religious practice. It is a way of remembering where one comes from. It connects family, history, gratitude, and daily life. Not far from Hoi and My Sơn tells another story. The Cham brick towers, standing in the valley, remind us that Vietnamese history is not a single stream, but many cultures meeting, touching, colliding, and leaving traces behind. Before modern Vietnam took its present shape, different kingdoms, peoples, and spiritual traditions lived across this land. The towers of My Sơn carry memories of the Champa civilization, of Hindu influence, of sacred architecture, and of a world that was deeply connected to the sea. They remind us that history is never simple. It is built from many voices. Further north in central Vietnam, Phong Nha opens the country in depth. Not the depth of a city or a historical timeline, but the real depth of the earth itself. The caves here make human beings feel very small. In Phong Nha Bang, rivers disappear into mountains, chambers stretch into darkness, and underground worlds reveal formations that took millions of years to become what they are. Some caves are gentle enough for visitors to explore by boat. Others feel like entire hidden planets beneath the jungle. Phong Nha teaches a different lesson from the cities. It reminds us that beneath every visible landscape, there may be another world waiting quietly. A country is not understood only through its landscapes. It is also understood through breakfast, through local markets, through the way people invite each other for coffee, and through dishes born from climate, history, and regional habits. Vietnamese food is often described through famous dishes like pho, banh mi, bún chả, or fresh spring rolls. But the deeper story is regional. The north often values balance and subtlety. The center is known for intensity, spice, and refinement. The south tends to be generous, sweet, fresh, and abundant. A bowl of noodles, a dipping sauce, a basket of herbs, or a cup of coffee can reveal where you are in the country. Food here is not only something to eat, it is geography, memory, family, and identity. The same is true of Vietnamese festivals. During Tet, the Lunar New Year, families clean their homes, prepare special food, visit relatives, honor ancestors, and hope for a better beginning. Streets fill with flowers, especially peach blossoms in the north and yellow apricot blossoms in the south. For visitors, Tet may look colorful and festive. For Vietnamese families, it is also emotional. It is a return, a pause, a moment when the living and the remembered seem to share the same house. Farther south, the country begins to move more quickly before it slows down again. Ho Chi Minh City is Vietnam in motion. It is young, ambitious, crowded, bright, and full of energy. Here, glass towers rise above old apartment blocks, cafes fill with students and entrepreneurs, and night markets glow beneath the heat. The city carries the memory of Saigon, with its boulevards, old buildings, theaters, churches, markets, and stories of war and change. But it is also one of the clearest symbols of modern Vietnam, a place where people arrive to study, work, build companies, chase dreams, and reinvent themselves. In Ho Chi Minh City, the country's future feels close enough to touch. And yet, even here, daily life still returns to simple rituals: morning coffee, street food after work, family meals, and small conversations beside the road. Then, in the Mekong Delta, the rhythm changes again. The river is not just scenery. It is a road, a market, a garden, a meal, and a rhythm of life. In places such as Can Tho, Ben Tre, and Trang, and the surrounding provinces, water shapes everything. Boats carry fruit, flowers, rice, fish, and people. Floating markets begin early, while the air is still soft. Coconut trees, orchards, canals, and wooden houses create a world where land and water are always connected. Life here can feel slow, but it is not empty. It is full of movement. Just a different kind of movement. The movement of tides. The movement of boats. The movement of hands, preparing food, repairing nets, harvesting fruit, and passing traditions to the next generation. And then, Vietnam opens again toward the sea. Not every beautiful place here needs to be crowded or famous. Sometimes, the most memorable thing is only an empty stretch of sand, a round basket boat, and the steady sound of waves repeating again and again. From Da Nang and Nha Trang to Quy Nhon, Phu Yen, Mui Ne, Con Dao, and Phu Quoc, the Vietnamese coastline changes constantly. Some places are lively and modern. Some are quiet and almost forgotten. Some are shaped by fishing villages, coral waters, windy dunes, or islands where the sea feels endless. The coast reminds us that Vietnam has always looked outward as well as inward, toward trade, migration, fishing, storms, journeys, and horizons. Vietnam is not one single image. It is many layers placed beside one another. Mountain and sea, ancient and young, noisy and quiet, sacred and ordinary. It is the poetry of Nguyen Du, the wisdom remembered in old proverbs, the legacy of leaders and thinkers, the resilience of families, the patience of farmers, the skill of artisans, and the energy of young people building new lives in fast-changing cities. It is a country where a temple bell, a market call, a boat engine, a coffee drip, and a motorbike horn can all belong to the same national rhythm. If you come here, do not only try to see as much as possible, move slowly enough to let this country tell its own story, and let Hanoi speak through its streets. Let the northern mountains speak through mist and terraces. Let Ha Long and Trang and speak through stone and water. Let Hue and Hoi and speak through memory. Let Mi Son and Phong Nha speak through ancient silence. Let the Mekong speak through rivers and gardens. And let the sea speak through wind, sand, and distance. Vietnam is not a destination to be checked off quickly. It is a country to be listened to. And if you could choose only one part of Vietnam to experience first, would you begin with the mountains of the north, the heritage towns of the center, the caves of Phong Nha, the rivers of the Mekong, the energy of Ho Chi Minh City, or the quiet beaches by the sea?